It is early March 2024, and I want to show you a few things that are ripening up in the yard here. Standing near my tropical area, very densely planted. This young starfruit tree right here has been in the ground for only about 6 months. It's an Arkin starfruit variety that I got online at a 3-gallon size. Put on flowers within a few weeks of putting it in the ground, and unfortunately I did have actually 6 starfruit hanging on this tree just a few weeks back, and have been noticing over the last week that they keep disappearing. So I'm down to just 2 fruits here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one because I'm not sure what's getting to it. Seems to be some kind of nocturnal creature is picking at these. But this is a good size, and I've read that you can ripen these inside. Probably not ideal ripeness, but we'll check back in a few days. So just a follow-up here, this is the fruit that I picked on camera. This Arkin starfruit was allowed to ripen on the counter for 4 days. You can see it's developed into an orange color. This might not be perfect ripeness, but I'm going to starfruit, and at least it doesn't look all too yellow. So that should be close to ripe. And just for background, if you're new to starfruit like me, I found that there's actually 2 main categories of the fruit, sour and sweet. And I read a publication from University of Hawaii that said the sour varieties are the ones that have those high levels of oxalate. You can somewhat reduce those oxalates by cutting off the ribs here on that variety, but high levels of oxalate aren't really found in the sweet varieties, and that's what I'm growing here. This Arkin would definitely fit that description. Arkin is actually one of the sweetest starfruit varieties out there. Carry is another common one that people grow in the backyard culture, and it is also a sweet variety. So I mentioned oxalate just because if you do have kidney problems, you'd probably want to steer away from them, even small amounts of oxalate. But if you don't have kidney issues like myself, you know, you can certainly enjoy this fruit and not have to worry about it. Of course, with anything, you do it in moderation. I always find it a little bit interesting to know the background on the varieties. And with this one, this Arkin, it was actually developed by a man named Morris Arkin in Florida, and it was really the result of him trying to find a commercially viable fruit. In the 1970s, he hybridized this variety and came up with a fruit that is extremely sweet and then also handles better, because a lot of the varieties, I guess, are softer and they get damaged in shipping. It's still kind of a fruit that, you know, can be prone to bruising, so it does need extra care with that. That's why you don't find them at common stores. Just interesting to learn that he developed this one, and it now represents something like 98% of the variety that's grown in South Florida. All right, so I've never actually had starfruit in my life, so this will be my first time trying this fruit, but I've heard to just cut the ends off here, like so, and then we're gonna just cut these ridges off. Again, I'm not too concerned that there's oxalates in these ridges because this is a sweet variety and they're really not supposed to be in strong supply. But also the waxiness, some people just don't enjoy. So this makes it a little bit more pleasant to eat. You can clearly see where it gets its name. These do look quite juicy as I'm cutting into it. So I think we've achieved pretty good ripeness here. All right, let's give this a try here. That is a very unique fruit. Interesting textures like an apple. Not maybe as crunchy as an apple, but kind of reminds me of that. The taste is most overwhelmingly citrus, maybe like citrus and grape. So I've heard this fruit described as very juicy, and I would completely agree with that. It is very refreshing. As far as the sweetness goes, I would actually say that it's very similar to a grape. You know, grapes do have sweetness to them, most varieties, but it's not something that's going to kind of hit you over the head with sugar. And that's what I feel with this. Definitely very refreshing. I don't taste any sour notes to it, but it's not super sweet. If a citrusy flavored grape sounds good to you, Starfruit is probably going to be a fruit that you enjoy. Let's check out some of the other things that are ripening up here. So another fruit that is definitely in season and I'm picking a lot of right now are heirloom tomatoes. We were over at my Vigo raised garden bed. This one, I've got 6 foot long and 3 feet wide. And it's about 18 inches high. So it gives a good depth for growing tomatoes. Here we have the black Krim. Variety is very delicious. One of the best tomato varieties. It's a Russian variety. Has almost a fruity taste to it. Very dark on the skin and also on the inside. So this one does well, at least growing in the cooler time. This is another very popular variety. This is called Pink Brandywine. I actually got all of these varieties from Summer Winds. And this one has also produced really large crops of delicious tomatoes. It's one of my favorite beefsteak type heirloom tomatoes. Another thing that is coming in right now is eggplant. And again, with some frost cloth in wintertime, you can actually get ripe fruit through that cooler season. Of course, citrus is going to definitely be still ripening in March. Pretty much all your citrus hangs for quite a long time. This Eureka lemon is still holding a lot of fruit and then also starting to bloom. So in general, your citrus is going to be something you can harvest all the way from December until April. This was a young tree that I just put in last year, so not holding any fruit. This is a Cara orange. Once this matures and can hold fruit, then one would definitely be able to pick oranges at this time. You can see it's full of bloom right now. So another citrus item that I am growing that is ripening up in March is this Fukushu Kumquat. Some of them are more in the greenish yellow stage, but I do have some fruits that are starting to just turn orange. And I've already harvested quite a few fruits earlier this month. While tropical guava puts the largest load of its fruit on in the summertime, around August time frame, you'll find that once your tree is mature in the ground that you will get an early crop in spring. And depending on cultivar, you'll get that fruit ripen up in March, April, or May. So we're heading over to my Barbie Pink guava, and it is one that is ripening its fruit. It actually has been pretty much all this month here in March. Look up into the tree, you can see that there are some bell-shaped fruits here. You can see one in a more immature stage, and then this one is yellowed up here. Birds have not spotted it yet. A nice advantage of the spring crop is even though they're not as prolific, the fruits are large. You can see pretty good sized guava here, and they're absolutely delicious. To me, tastes like a pear mixed with strawberry, and also has floral notes in it. But even though this tree is not in a great location, just a couple feet off the wall here, I keep it trimmed up and it does put loads of fruit on. This unfortunately is what's going to happen in March because there aren't too many things that are ripening right now. The birds are definitely going to go after guavas. They're so fragrant, the birds can smell them, they start pecking at them, and then at that peak ripeness, they'll kind of hollow it out like this. And you can see birds in general really love this fruit. This girl here is fairly picky about fruit. She won't touch a whole lot of it, but does love her guavas. So you might find some pest pressure around your guavas at this time of the year. So one suggestion would be to use the organza bags or net your tree with a high quality net. So I hope you enjoyed this video. April, just around the corner, that's when we'll start to get our peaches ripen. In May, you know, a lot of our apricots and apriums are going to be ripening, so nice to know that you can plant something that will produce for you well in March. As always, thanks for watching and happy gardening.